Hey folks, it's Maxie here and welcome to another TEW2020 video. You join us today for our first show of 2021 and episode number 6 of the Impact Wrestling series. You join us for Impact Wrestling on Access TV, and we're now on the road to Hard to Kill, I believe it's called, the January pay-per-view. We're going back to a monthly pay-per-view model way, Impact Wrestling, and hopefully we can take the company to very good lengths. Of course, all 4 Impacts are taped tonight, and then I've got a long wait to the pay-per-view and hope that no one gets injured on the road there. But going into episode 1, I've got a wee idea of some of the matches on the card. Obviously that will develop over the 4 episodes before we go all out for the event. So it is obviously the aftermath of Final Resolution. We're in a good position financially. It says we made a good bit of profit, so hopefully over the course of the save, maybe we get to like the March, April, you'll see a real investment in that. As I say, we'll have to look at maybe going to a second show, hopefully on a much bigger network, and just other things to help the company grow so we can begin a war with our good friends at AEW and of course the WWE as well. So without further ado, let's crack on to this week's episode of Impact Wrestling on Access TV. So remember when I said we were not going to keep this realistic at all? Well, the taping's at Full Sail University, so that should confirm realism is out the window. But first off, we have EC3, not in the ring, but in a special set. And he's basically describing why he attacked Rich Swann at Final Resolution. And he says his issues not with Rich Swann, his issues not with Wally Mack, his issues with himself, his issues with the wrestling business. And he says basically when he was last in Impact Wrestling, he was the man, big everything handed to him, and it's time for him to control his narrative. So what he's looking to do is anything he can without taking any shortcuts. It's not personal, but he needs to become Impact World Champion on his own. It doesn't matter how he does it in terms of, you know, if he has to beat someone up or whatever, but no one's helping him. This is just strictly him. So if he has to go out and cause damage to people, then he's going to go out and cause damage. So a 40-word promo there for EC3. Good way to start the show. Next up, we saw pretty much the feud we know it's been on for the last couple of weeks between Wally Mack, Rich Swann, Joe Doring and Eric Young, and I feel like we need to give Joe Doring a good victory on television, because obviously we need to build his over the up from pretty much the ground. So it's a poor matchup, and Joe Doring defeats Wally Mack in 9:47 with a Revolution bomb. Both guys unfortunately off their game, so that's not a good start. A wee bit of inconsistency there. But a 42 is a pretty good rating, all things considered. And it's just actually below where we'd be at in terms of, you know, a main event level match at this moment in time, which is crazy to think. So they are not quite main eventers, but they're obviously involved with the main eventers, and I'm quite happy with that opener there. So again, just building up Joe Doring and a wee bit of revenge for the defeat that they suffered at Final Resolution. After the matchup, Eric Young joins them and says, "Rich Swann, Wally Mack, don't you think this is over? As I say, we are going to hurt yous, and I don't care what EC3 does, I don't care about his story, his narrative. I want that goddamn Impact World Championship, and I will be as dangerous as I need to be to make that happen." So that's a 34 promo from Young alongside Joe Doring. Next up, we've got James Storm in a promo which got a 53. He just says there's been a lot of changes around Impact Wrestling over the years, and because there is such a plethora of younger talent coming through, and it seems like another generation of younger talent's going to come, that he needs to show, you know, that he's not past, that he's not over the hill. His friends may have went on to do other things, but he's been Impact Wrestling through and through, and if he is near the end, then he's going to show that he's at least got one mega run, including an Impact World title run in his future. Next up, with a promo from Deonna Purrazzo, which was a 51. Now in this indication, she says she's beat Thunder Rosa, she's beat everybody over the months, obviously Sue Young, Susie, obviously the same person, allegedly. Two of them, she obviously has beaten Jordan Grace, etc. There's no one left for her to defeat in Impact Wrestling, and that was at 51. However, Jessica Havoc comes out and she destroys the friend of Deonna Purrazzo, which is of course Kimberly. The plan was to put her through a table, but one of the broadcasters deemed that to be too dangerous for television, so just an attack here, and it sees Deonna Purrazzo run to the hill. So a wee bit of a mini feud here, going to start between Jessica Havoc and Deonna Purrazzo. Moving along, James Storm then gets his match up, and it was about that had a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling, as James Storm defeated an old friend in Shira in 10-17 with the Eye of the Storm. At 38, just a simple victory for James Storm, as we continue to give him one last run with Impact Wrestling. Moving along with a decent matchup, this saw Ace Austin defeat Swoggle in 8:27 with the House of Cards. 45, that's not too bad. Ace carried him to a decent matchup. Swoggle was off his game. This one's kind of planting the seeds for some longer term booking. As after the matchup, Swoggle's in the ring, he's just recovering, and Madman Fulton decides to just destroy him. Basically throws the smaller athlete about the place and just looks like an absolute monster in doing so. And that was a 37. Then have the return of Eddie Edwards. He is in action next, and he's getting motivated by Alicia, just saying, come on, you know how good you are, let's bring the old Eddie Edwards back, or let's at least, you know, show that you can become world champion again. So that was a 35. Eddie's return match was against Jake Christ, and he wins in 7:43 with a forward lung blower. Pretty good there, 50 rated matchup, would work as a main event here. A 55 for Eddie Edwards and a 40 for Jake Christ. So it's good to know that Eddie Edwards is going to be a solid player for us still. It's kind of it's using these impacts in a way where you have to obviously rotate the workers you're using, because we've obviously got 4 tapings in one night, but at the same time we've got to keep everyone kind of protected, so when they get to the event, everybody's on the higher momentum, so they can just get hotter and hotter. Next up, just a hype package to promote Phoenix. Obviously the return of Phoenix at Final Resolution, and just saying that he had a little injury in his victory over Chris Bay, which means that Phoenix may miss a few weeks of action. He is actually good to compete, so I'll maybe bring him in episode 3 or 4, but I don't want to have him wrestling like 4 times a night under a small injury knock, just to ensure, you know, he's better for the long term. So that's a 43. Then had Thunder Rosa in action against Taya Valkyrie, and Thunder Rosa wins in 9:03 with a reverse DDT. Nice simple 44 rated matchup. The 46 plays the 41 with Taya off her game. Taya showed some after effects of not winning the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, and Thunder Rosa obviously losing to Deonna to start with, but we need to build her up as a very capable and solid acquisition to our Knockouts division. Then had Don Callis, who comes out to just basically talk about Rahit Raju, which was a 30, and he says, for too long now, you know, it's just been dirty tricks in the X Division, stealing victories. The X Division was built off incredible athletes, young athletes, and it might just be afraid for Rahit that they're going in a different direction. So Callis is going to give him an opportunity against a new acquisition to Impact Wrestling in the X Division, as he looks to take it back to its roots with a new generation of superstar. Non-title match, but it may lead to a title match down the line. As in a decent matchup, we had Leo Rush defeat Rahit Raju in 11:51 with Dragon's Call. A pretty solid 45. Great performance there from Leo with a 48 to Raju's 39. Adequate for his thrill seeker gimmick. If I'm being honest, again, it's just lack of watching Impact, so I don't know too much about the Desi Hit Squad or Raju in this kind of situation, but I've seen he was obviously close to 40 in game. If that is not a mistake by the database maker, then yeah, it wouldn't like a 40 the old champion. So bringing through a new era of X Division star, and Leo Rush is going to be one of those to lead the call. So a 45 rated segment there. Next up is Carol Anderson and Doc Gallows with a promo on the Inflictors of Pain, and it just says they're excited to welcome them to Impact Wrestling. They're a bunch of good brothers. Naturally, as I say, they got on well with them, and as I say, it'll not be long until that encounter down the line happens between the Good Brothers and the Inflictors of Pain. But all good, because both are babyface teams. And the main event was a decent matchup, and it saw the Inflictors of Pain defeat RENO SCUM in 9:02 when Dinza pinned Adam Forstall with the last chapter. At 48, I felt like the former Akam and Razar would be pretty solid in terms of their overness, so I was not really fearing in terms of the rating they would draw. I was quite happy they would win the main event. I feel sorry because I said I was going to push that Worst as a Legend because I said it looks brilliant, but yeah, he's been protected every match, he's not lost, he's not took the fall. But yeah, tag team wrestling, we're going to promote it as a main event thing for as long as we can until we get some top superstars that are like in the 60-70 bracket in terms of overness. So tag teams will reign supreme until then. And finish the show, just a promo from the world's most dangerous tag team, Callahan and Shamrock, saying, "You may have beat us, Final Resolution, but like the pay-per-view says, we are hard to kill and you'll never kill us off." So that's a 43. Overall, we increased our popularity in 33 regions, and our show appeared worse in... And this is because of it's a weird one. It's New Japan's American show that hurts us, but we're in an alliance with them, so we're technically friends. But again, I might just put the money towards that. It might be quite expensive, but it ensures we're always gaining pop. Then the more pop we gain, then obviously the more we're going to get noticed, and then the more money we'll draw in. We are 5% down on attendance because we were the lowest of the area battles, sorry I should say, because it's quite competitive. So it's one of those ones, it's going to be a challenge to start with, but once we hit our stride we'll be absolutely laughing, and once I feel like quite comfortable in the financial situation, aka once we break $1 million, which shouldn't actually be too long, but once we can do that and start throwing a bit of money about, I believe we'll be fine. But it's all about just getting used to our roster again. It's all about filtering who we're going to use, who we're not going to use. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this, and I feel so out of touch, but at the same time it's good to learn about what a company's got, and then it's going to be mad looking back at this when we get to 2022 in game and the company's completely different. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, it's much appreciated. As I say, drop these episodes when we can, and yeah, let's get ready for a big war down the line. Take it easy, stay safe, troops, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.